Hey everyone, welcome to my channel and welcome back to my subscribers. This is where we talk about money, saving, and turning your cash into wealth building assets. This is Bald Guy Money. I am Bald Guy, so let's talk money. In this video, I'm going to address the scary topic of the dollar crash, what it means for the dollar, threats to the dollar, and why I don't think the dollar will disappear altogether, at least not yet. As always, none of this is financial advice. Please make sure to do your own research before making any financial decisions. And don't forget to hit the like button if you like the content and leave me a comment below. You can always count on me to read your comments and reply to them. So if you want to ask me a question or challenge me or whatever you want to do, the comment section is the place to do that. And in fact, actually, this video is based on a request from one of our viewers. He threw it in the comments and I'm now responding via video. His name is Attila A, so just want to give a shout out to him. Thanks Attila for the question on the dollar. So let's get into it. Okay, so the topic is the collapse of the dollar. Many people are extremely concerned about this, and there are three reasons that you should be concerned about the dollar collapsing. They are, number one, massive inflation. Number two, weaponization of the dollar. And number three, new competition to the dollar. And these are very legitimate concerns to have. But to understand them, we have to understand how it is the US dollar became so important, as well as what it replaced to claim the crown of king of all the fiat currencies. So, in 1944, the US dollar basically replaced the pound sterling as the preferred reserve currency of the world. This was done at the Bretton Woods Conference, which also established the IMF, and it's really interesting, so I encourage you all to look it up if you're not familiar with it. There's lots of info out there, but I'm not going to go any deeper into it. So, we've established the US dollar is the reserve currency of the world, and I'm going to show some statistics on exactly what that looks like in a second. And the United States, as a result, actually has a major luxury in that it can create purchasing power basically out of thin air by printing more dollars. And they've been doing just that. Take a look here at one of my favorite charts showing the US dollar supply since 1999. You can see that since 1999, the supply of dollars has increased by over 1,600%, all the way up to now we're touching about $20 trillion. Now, the dollar's inflation problem is simple. Put yourselves in the shoes of a central bank outside of the USA. You have no choice but to hold large dollar amounts because since 1944, as we established, the USA became the reserve currency of the world, when they promised they would back the dollar with gold and manage the dollar responsibly. Now, in 1971, the United States abandoned the gold standard, and in the last 15 years, they've printed more dollars than in the entire history of the country. So that has left many poor countries holding a bag of dollars. Let's bring up our next graphic. That can buy less and less as the USA goes on an international spending spree. And I surmise the real damage of money printing is worse than what we see in this fantastic graphic. In addition to printing your savings into dust, the USA exerts an amazingly large influence over the financial system due to the dollar's reserve currency status. This is how they have successfully weaponized the dollar. If any country does something against American interests, for example, Russia or Iran, the United States can use the dollar to put sanctions against them, limiting their ability to participate in the global economy. And whether you agree with that or not, one thing is true, the weaponization of the dollar is leading many countries to seek alternatives to the dollar, which brings us to our third point on competition. Competition to the dollar is on the rise and is going to intensify as countries start to launch their own CBDCs, which are central bank digital currencies. That said, we are already starting to see the United States' grip on reserve currency domination loosening up. Let's take a look at the data. As you can see here, the share of US dollars held in reserve haven't been this low as they are now, since 1995, when the German mark was still a major currency. And at the bottom of the chart, you can see a new entrant into the reserve currency battlefield, being the Chinese yuan, which has major plans to become the alternative to the US dollar over the next 10 years, starting with the launch of its digital yuan, which I made a video on, so please check it out. I'll link it up at the end of this one. So, where does this leave the US dollar? What do I think about the future of the dollar, and what am I doing to secure myself for a future where the dollar either doesn't exist or loses its importance? So, number one, the main consequence I see for the US dollar as a result of what we've just discussed is this: it will lose value as its dominance declines. Just take a look at how the pound sterling has performed versus the dollar since 1971, as it declined in relevance after the 1944 Bretton Woods Agreement. But like the pound sterling, I don't expect the US dollar to disappear altogether, at least not until there is a viable alternative to the fiat system. My expectation in the short term is that once countries start to launch their digital currencies, the world will divide more along geographic lines, using the dominant currency of its geography. Here's a graphic of exactly how I think that is going to break down, and of course, please keep in mind there will be some exceptions based on historic military alliances. But I do believe that the Americas will prefer to use the US dollar, Europe will prefer to use the euro, Africa will use a combination of the euro, yuan, dollar, and Bitcoin, and Asia will begin to lean towards using the digital yuan. In fact, with organizations like the SCO, the Shanghai Cooperation Organization led by China and Russia, who just added Iran to their ranks, we are already seeing this being put into motion. In the long term, the real danger to the US dollar and to the fiat system in general are decentralized digital currencies like Bitcoin or even gold-backed crypto. Why do I think this? Well, the IMF, the organization that was created in 1944, as I mentioned earlier, they steer the current international fiat system and they detest Bitcoin. In fact, they are afraid of it. They can work with China, they can work with Europe, they can work with the United States to control global financial markets, but they cannot work with Bitcoin because it is decentralized. Nobody controls it. They are so afraid of it, in fact, that they are using every single resource at their disposal to create fear around it and prevent its spread. And know this, it is spreading. Despite being invented in 2009, El Salvador just became the first country to make it legal tender. And this trend is only going to continue until either the entire fiat system collapses, which could happen in our lifetime, or Bitcoin is outlawed, mirroring a tax on gold, which happened in the 20th century. Now, this is the part of the video where I tell you what I am doing to protect myself for the day the fiat system's house of cards comes tumbling down. And I am not going all in on Bitcoin. I always talk about diversification. I don't go all in on anything. As I say at the start of all my videos, this is where we talk about converting your cash into wealth-building assets. And what I am converting my cash into in the context of this situation are the three following things. Number one, Bitcoin. Number two, gold and silver. Number three, land. This is my message. This is why I created this channel. The dollar won't last forever, and it is decreasing in value. Land is forever. Property is forever. Gold has been used as money for thousands of years, and now Bitcoin just may be the digital version of that. And me personally, I'm not going to get stuck holding a bag of dollars, waiting for the day people finally agree the fiat currencies aren't worth a darn thing. I exchange it now for things that I think will always be worth something. Thank you so much for watching, and thanks again to all my subscribers. Links to my data sources in the description as always. Please leave a comment or a question below. As I mentioned before, I will respond to it. Don't forget to subscribe, drop a like if you enjoyed the video, and as always, I wish you all happiness, I wish you all success. I really hope to see you in the next video. Do zobaczenia.